Hi, this is Andrew Abrams with RECUR360, and today I'm going to go over our new features that we are releasing with our October 2021 release that'll be going out the week of October 11th. In this release, we are focusing on payment lines. And by that, I mean any received payment inside of QuickBooks or RECUR360 as well as multiple received payments against a single invoice will now be detailed out not only within our program, but also within the email and the PDF that the customer receives. In addition, with our newest release, when you send a customer to your Pay Online portal and they choose to pay multiple invoices, they'll have the option of creating a single payment to be applied to all of their open invoices. Whereas in the past, if they selected multiple invoices to pay, our system would have processed a separate payment for each and every invoice. So now you can have a one-to-many relationship with one payment applied to many invoices. In addition, some minor things in this update are that when sending an email out of our system, you can override and add additional email addresses to what's being sent out. And also in our dashboard, we are now breaking out pending invoices, which are non-posting transactions, similar to a sales order or an estimate, so that they are tracked differently within our software. So let's first start with the payment lines. So inside of QuickBooks Online, if we were to look at an invoice, inside of that invoice, if it had one or more payments against it, the invoice itself would just show a total received and a balance due. But to see each of those 5 payments, you actually have to click on this link here, which just kind of pops up a window that quickly shows you what those are. But if you're clicking anywhere else inside of QuickBooks Online, that data disappears. Also, if you were to send this invoice to your customer out of QuickBooks Online, when sending it, it too only shows the total paid and the balance due. Similarly, in QuickBooks Desktop, if we were to go to an invoice that had multiple payments against it, it also only shows the total of the payments applied. And to actually look at what payments are applied to it, if you're in the main ribbon bar here, you would go to the Reports tab and then click on Transaction History, which pops up another window which shows you those individual payments. And then you could either go to those or you'd have to click off of this screen. If you don't, then QuickBooks locks up on you and doesn't let you go any further. So where we provide an improvement upon that is inside of RECUR360. If you were to go look at that same invoice transaction, you can see where it logs each and every payment and shows you on the screen what the total was and then the date of each payment. In this case, I ran these all earlier on the 10th here, and it's just logging each and every one of those. Also, in the bottom of our invoice, if you look at the payment history tab, it also shows you each of those payments against it. So when you go into an invoice within our platform, whether the payment was recorded by you in QuickBooks or whether it was automatically recorded in RECUR or whether you manually recorded a payment within RECUR or whether the customer recorded the payment in RECUR or multiple payments, whenever you click on that invoice, it will bring up a screen that shows you all of the data without you having to click deeper into the software. In addition, what the customer will see if we go take a look at the email that we send to them is a similar layout. If you look at the copy of the email that they get, it will show you each and every payment against the invoice and how much it was and the total amount paid. And also on the PDF that we send, it will log those payments. So these are features that RECUR360 offers to you and ultimately what you send to your customers that neither QuickBooks Desktop or QuickBooks Online give you natively in their software. A couple of the other features that we were showing was related to pending invoices. So normally or historically, our dashboard would just have shown you open invoices or invoices with a balance due. And inside of this invoices with a balance due, it would have commingled pending invoices. If you're not familiar with RECUR360, we have a module called a pending invoice, which is a non-posting transaction similar to a sales order or an estimate. And it only lives in RECUR360 until such time as you convert it to an active invoice, or when a payment is applied to a pending invoice, it automatically becomes a posting invoice, and obviously with a payment. So now with our latest release, we can simply click on show pending invoices separately, and that opens up the graph to break out what's pending, what's an open pending invoice, and just pending invoices within a last specific date range. And then in addition, when you are sending an email out of our system manually, you can go ahead and when you click send email, you can go ahead and override the customer email address and just add in a different one. So this just allows you that if a customer needs a copy of an invoice or if you want to send one to yourself, rather than you sending it to the customer again, which is what would have happened in the past, now you can just override it and send it specifically where you want to send it. Maybe you want to see it before they get it, something to that effect. And then as I also mentioned, if we go into my collection center here, and I only have one on my QuickBooks Online, let me move into my QuickBooks Desktop and go into my collection center that has a little bit more data in it. So if we pull up a particular customer, we'll take Amy's Bird Sanctuary. When you go ahead and send her an email link, and we see all of these open invoices that you can receive a payment against. When the customer comes in, these will all be pre-selected and these will all have the amount owed on them. And obviously a customer can still override what they want to pay. But now if all of these are selected, one payment will be processed. So to give you an example of that, normally, let me just go ahead and deselect all these for a moment. And one other thing is I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to turn off our convenience fees because that adds a little bit more complexity because it'll go back if they're in the past and it'll add convenience fees to the transaction. So within our customer setting, we're going to go ahead and override convenience fees and just select that and do a save and sync. And that way that customer won't be charged when we go ahead and process payments. Okay, so now for Amy's, if I go ahead and say, I just want to process a payment against this invoice, and you go to continue payment, it'll just process one payment for $21. But now if I want to process a combined payment against both of these and I continue to my payment, RECUR360 is going to go ahead and process a single payment to pay for these two invoices, and then post that payment to QuickBooks against those invoices. And then the customer will get two emails, one for each of the open invoice balances, but referencing the single payment. So if we go take a look at that inside of RECUR, if we go into our reports and our payment history report, we're going to see that this single payment for $73.46 was just processed, and it was applied against these two separate invoices. And if we go into our email, different email. A couple different accounts here that I have up. We'll just go into QuickBooks instead. So now if we go into QuickBooks and we go look at Amy's, so we'll go to customers and we'll go to Amy's Bird Sanctuary. We'll see that that payment just came across. And as well, it was just applied to those 2 invoices. And then the emails that, again, the customer would receive as a separate invoice email for each one of these with the total payment applied to them, but only the amount paid towards it. And I'll give it just a quick example of that. I'll have another one in here that's, we'll have a total on it. So I ran a couple of these earlier. Let's see. So here's a total paid of $2,127.44. But on this particular invoice, only $1,200 was applied towards it. And that's how that would look. So this is a pretty cool feature that we've released with the October 2021 release of RECUR360 that allows you to see full payment history against an invoice, whether there's one or more payments against it. And then our payment history report would obviously show a single payment that is then applied against multiple invoices. If you have any questions, please come to our website and you can pop on to our support chat or email support@recur360.com. Thank you for your time today.